say hello to the updated Toyota GR Corolla. It's had a facelift for 2025. Got a new look up front, more torque under the bonnet, a bit more handling changes here and there, but the big news is the automatic transmission option for the first time on this car. Is it any good? We're going to hit the road today and find out. The Toyota GR Corolla remains available in the single specification grade, the GTS, priced from $67,990 before on-road costs with a 6-speed manual, up $3,800 on the old model, or $74,990 before on-road costs with a new 8-speed torque converter auto. New items for 2025 include the styling changes we'll detail in a moment, plus a performance boost. The 1.6-litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine now develops 221 kilowatts and 400 newton meters, up 30 newton meters on the outgoing model. All-wheel drive is still standard, with the automatic version adding launch control. A carbon fibre roof, previously exclusive to the Morizo Special Edition, is now standard equipment, alongside wireless Android Auto, previously wired only, and an active noise cancellation feature. Standard equipment includes 18-inch alloy wheels with Yokohama tyres, front and rear limited slip differentials, a vented bonnet, LED headlights, an 8-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and SatNav, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, suede and leather look seats with heating up front, dual zone climate control, and a head-up display. Visual updates for 2025 are focused on this new front end. You can see different front bumper, bigger air intakes to also accommodate that new automatic transmission cooler that obviously you get on auto versions of this car. The rest of the car is pretty much the same visually speaking. 8-inch wheels with Yokohama Advan tyres, the cool vents on the bonnet that not every market gets as standard. A carbon roof is now standard across the range. This was previously on the Morizo edition only. And the rest of the car is pretty much the same as before. Cool side skirts with GR4 branding, flared arches, give it a bit of a sportier look on the road. And overall, we love the way the GR Corolla looks before, and we definitely love the way it looks now. Inside the GR Corolla, and this car looks, never been a standout in terms of presentation and tech in this class, but still, it's good enough, and I think for most buyers, it will suffice. First things, and the important things for a performance car, lovely steering wheel, really nice size, quite small. You can see this one here is the auto, so you got some nice clicky paddles. They're not metal, they are plastic, but they are satisfyingly clicky. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but they do make a nice sound. Automatic transmission lever, very similar to a normal Corolla, but feels nice, works well, and it sort of does the job, I suppose, in a car like this. Manual handbrake you get, which means no center console here between the armrests. So there's nowhere to rest your arm, which is a little bit annoying. So these seats are really, really good. Trimmed in a mix of suede and leather-like material. GR embossing on them as well. Super comfortable, super supportive. Manually adjustable, but they are heated, which is nice on cold mornings. The rest of the cabin is pretty much standard Corolla fare. You've got some soft materials around the place. They give it a quality enough feeling, but it's not the most lavish. The screen is quite small, only 8 inches across. You do get Toyota's new infotainment system, so it's quick enough. It's easy to use. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, so it's pretty well covered on that front. But yeah, not what you'd call a tech leader in this class, that's for sure. In terms of amenities, wireless phone charger, dual zone climate control, various things around the place. It does work pretty well, but yeah, not the most lavishly appointed cabin. A Golf R still has a beat in that area. If carrying people in the back of your hot hatch is a priority, then this GR Corolla may not be the car for you. Space is okay. I've got a bit of knee room there, but headroom, I can sort of feel my hair starting to brush this roof, and tow room is sort of just adequate under the front seat. Got a bit of a tunnel here, which means middle passengers won't have particularly nice time. There's no air vents back here. You do have some USB ports, a USB-C socket, as well as a 12 volt. But yeah, not a whole lot of room back here. You've got a fold down armrest, but no pockets in the doors. And yeah, it's a pretty small space. Something like a Golf R or a Civic Type R would be better if you want to carry people in the back of this car regularly. The boot remains a weakness of the GR Corolla. You can see this is bigger than what you get in the GR Yaris, but then again, that is quite a low bar if we're being honest. You can see there's no spare wheel under the floor, just this sort of foam section where a spare wheel will go in a normal non-GR Corolla. Bit of underfloor storage, bit of space on the left and right sides of the boot. You've got a light, got some bag hooks, and obviously you can fold those seats down 60/40, but yeah, it's a small space. There's a bit of a load lip, doesn't go very deep. And if boot space is a priority, something like a Golf R, i30N, Civic Type R will be a better call in this segment. All right, behind the wheel of the updated Toyota GR Corolla. Now, the star of the show here is without a doubt that new 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, it's not a dual clutch design. It obviously isn't quite as snappy as, say, a Golf R and i30N, which obviously do have dual clutch gearboxes, but setting off from a roll here out of intersection, it's smooth, it's compliant, it doesn't do any hesitation at low speeds like you get in the dual clutch gearbox. And look, it's not quite as quick to shift as those cars, but it's pretty quick for a torque converter. Under braking, it responds to your inputs, it downshifts as you'd expect. It all works pretty well. In automatic mode, it can be a little bit doughy at times. It can sort of slur gears, but to be honest, for a torque converter, don't write this off simply by what's on the spec sheet. It's a really good gearbox, and it doesn't really get in the way of the performance of the car, which is perhaps a worry that we had before we started driving this new GR Corolla. Now, the rest of the package is pretty similar to before. Power is still 220 kilowatts, but there's a little bit more torque, 400 newton meters, sort of closer to where the Maurizio edition was in the previous version of this car. The rest of the driving experience is pretty much the same as before. You've got that GR4 all-wheel drive system, but they have made some tweaks to the modes. Now, instead of normal, sport and track, where that sport mode was 70% of the power to the rear, track mode sort of has filled that role, where between 40 and 70% of the power in the car can be sent to the rear axle. It does vary depending on the road conditions, depending on how you're driving the vehicle. Now, it doesn't feel as perhaps overtly rear biased as the old car might have, but still, it shuffles power along well. It doesn't really understeer that much. You really have to be pushing this car seriously hard to get it to run out of grip and sort of start to feel like a front-wheel drive biased vehicle. Even in normal mode, it's pretty compliant, shifts power around well, and overall, we're pretty impressed with the all-wheel drive system, as we were in the old car, to be fair. Now, the ride, it's obviously firm. It's a hot hatch. It's not meant to be a basic hybrid Corolla, but it's compliant. It doesn't get crashy over surfaces. It doesn't feel particularly unsettled, even on rural roads where they're particularly bumpy or particularly smooth. We like the ride. It may be a little bit too firm for some buyers, not quite as compliant as a Golf GTI or a Golf R, but then again, this car is on passive dampers. There's no adaptive functionality. It is very much a point and shoot kind of car. You've got some drive modes and things to play with, obviously normal, sport, and eco to play with your steering response, a custom mode as well for that too. The steering is quite direct and well weighted. It's a little bit too heavy for our liking in sport mode, but that's just personal preference, and you can customize some of those things with the custom drive mode in the infotainment screen. Now, you may be able to hear in the background, it is quite noisy. We're on a rural road now, doing about 90 k's an hour, and yeah, there's a lot of tyre noise coming to the cabin. The stereo can drown it out. It's a JBL stereo in the GR Corolla, but the stereo is not fantastic, and yeah, there's a lot of tyre noise, but I suppose that's just a compromise you've got to live with when you buy a performance car like this. Overall, it's not quite the perfect all-rounder that a Golf R is. It's also not quite the, ultimate track attack weapon that a Civic Type R might be, but it's a good middle ground that has a bit of a fun side, a bit of a Larry side. It doesn't feel, particularly refined and European in the way that it could feel a little bit boring. It's got a fun side, it's good to drive. We really like the GR Corolla, and this updated automatic transmission has made a positive difference to the way this car behaves. After our road drive was filmed, we took the automatic GTS for a few laps around Winton Raceway in Victoria, and it confirmed our earlier findings. The GR Corolla remains an approachable and seriously quick car when you can let it loose. When left to its own devices in sport mode, and the expert setting for the stability control activated, the 8-speed auto downshifts aggressively into corners, shifts quickly out of them, and generally seems to pick the right gear for the moment. It's not quite as playful in the corners as the Yaris, but the Corolla is easy to drive quickly and doesn't feel out of its depth on the circuit. So there you have it, the updated Toyota GR Corolla. The company hasn't messed with the formula of this car with this 2025 facelift. It's still great to drive, got plenty of room inside, not particularly a class leader in any way, but still plenty of tech, enough space for day-to-day duties, and it's definitely more practical than the smaller and two-door Toyota GR Yaris. Lovely to drive, as I said, great engine, great steering, great ride. Obviously the automatic transmission option has only broadened this car appeal a bit further and made it more accessible to more Australian performance car drivers. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, why not give us a like? And of course, to read the full written review, head to Drive.com.au at the link in the description down below.